Ladies, if you have fibroids, I want you to stay here and watch this video because I'm going to tell you some natural ways to eliminate fibroids and possible reasons why they might have formed. So stay tuned. So here's the thing, y'all. Fibroids do not just show up randomly. Fibroids grow in an environment, and that environment typically is when estrogen is too high relative to progesterone, which is considered estrogen dominance. Estrogen dominance is the environment and the soil that fibroids thrive in. So let's talk about the cellular piece here. This is the root cause of 99.9% of our problems. At the cellular level, fibroid tissue typically has more estrogen and progesterone receptors than uterine tissue. So when estrogen is high, those cells start to proliferate or they grow larger and they start to multiply. So they're basically listening to a hormonal signal and responding exactly the way that your cells were meant to respond. So let's talk about potentially where this imbalance comes from, because when you have more awareness and understand what's happening at the root, you can dig in and start to get answers. So xenoestrogens are one part of the problem. They basically are synthetic compounds that are found in like plastic and pesticides. There's even some found in personal care products that actually mimic estrogen at the receptor site. The receptors are along the cell membrane, okay? Also, a liver that is overworked and is having a hard time clearing estrogen could be a problem because that creates estrogen dominance. That excess estrogen recirculates back into your body. So, another point to that is you need to go poop every day. If you're not pooping and you're constipated, you're potentially creating a problem because you're recycling this estrogen when it needs to be eliminated. Gut imbalances are another big challenge that can create fibroids because that gut bacteria helps regulate estrogen and how it's reabsorbed or eliminated in the body. And chronic stress, y'all, stress creates all kinds of havoc in our system. So, how is chronic stress related to fibroids? Because cortisol actually goes hand in hand. It fights for those same building blocks that help create progesterone in your body. So, remember, if you're estrogen dominant, you don't have enough progesterone. So, cortisol, high cortisol, chronic stress, nervous system dysregulation can definitely impact you and create fibroids. So now that we know some of the reasons that fibroids start to form, let's now talk about some natural ways you can help your body resolve, eliminate these fibroids. Now, here's the thing, y'all. You have to be consistent. You can't do this for 1 or 2 days and then fall off the face of the earth and then do it again in 2 weeks. But the number one thing, or not the number one, but the first thing I'm going to talk about is cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower, for example, can really help because these vegetables support healthy estrogen metabolism in the liver. Secondly, reducing exposure to plastics and synthetic fragrances when at all possible. Now, I know that's hard. The synthetic fragrances, they're everywhere, but if we can find more natural fragrances, that's going to help as well. Of course, supporting your gut health because a healthy gut helps circulate estrogen and get it out of the body when necessary. So, a healthy gut is super important as well. Managing stress, like I said before, remember cortisol and progesterone are literally made from the same raw material. So, your body is going to obviously use survival coming from cortisol. They're going to make sure that is managed before anything else. So, you've got to manage your stress. And then, number 5, anti inflammatory foods. Okay, anti inflammatory foods like turmeric, fatty fish, polyphenols, berries, right? Anti-inflammatory foods are going to be important. Look up, do a Google search. Anti-inflammatory foods. Put it in your Google and list all the foods that you can get, because inflammation and oxidative stress literally create an environment for fibroids to grow. So you have to reduce the inflammation in your body. So anti-inflammatory foods can really be helpful. Now, if you want a clearer picture of what's happening in your body, I highly encourage you to get a blood panel. Let's talk about some blood markers that I think are important to look out for to see if it's contributing to fibroid growth. I would encourage you to get a full hormone panel. You especially want to look at estradiol and progesterone, SHBG, sex hormone binding globulin, sex hormone binding globulin. And days 19 through 21 of your cycle preferably will give you a pretty good reading of where your levels are, because your hormones are going to ebb and flow. So I would say that's first. Get a hormone panel specifically looking at estrogen to progesterone ratios and your SHBG. SHBG, by the way, actually determines how much active hormone is available to your tissues. So that's one of the reasons that's a good one to check. Y'all, check your vitamin D. Us melanated folks, we are typically low in vitamin D, and we need vitamin D. It is super important because it's connected to your immune response and inflammation. So if you have low vitamin D levels, that is another contributing factor to fibroid growth in combination with hormone imbalances. You want to also check your high sensitivity CRP. This is an inflammation marker, so that's another one to check. And then you definitely want to check your ferritin levels. This is an iron storage indicator. If you have heavier cycles, especially, definitely check your ferritin levels. So these are blood markers that you need to check to see if you can find a correlation. So, ladies, I want to encourage you, if you're dealing with fibroids, fibroids are a signal that something deeper is happening in your body. I know that it can be very discouraging, but advocate for yourself. Get those blood panels and take some of the steps that I just talked about in this video to help you with hopefully reducing that fibroid growth. Now, for nervous system regulation, I have created a kit. It's called the Root Cause Clarity Kit, and it is meant to literally help you get out of survival mode so that your body can get into healing mode. If you are in constant fight or flight, your body is going to have a hard time healing. So I want you to check out that kit. Drop kit in the comments or send me a DM and I will send you the details. I'm Coach Jamila. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a root cause wellness strategist, and I'm wishing each of you good health. Peace.